relationship can feel more rewarding that the person can. Then there is the silent treatment where they withhold love. They try to withdraw from conflict, try not to be seen, and this can have
as a mirror. And that if that mirror reflects what they want, all hope is not lost. There is hope. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. My name is Bumi Olowu, popularly known as Godly Inspirer, and we will be discussing why marriage feels hard in some relationships. And today with me, I've got my friend.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Gloria and I'm a mental health nurse. So I look forward to discussing marriage, what makes marriage work, the difficulties people are having, and how they navigate it to have a better relationship.
Okay, like we said, we're discussing the reason why marriage feels difficult in some relationships. And marriage itself is the bedrock of the society where relationship starts, children are being born, and the children and people, every human being on earth is a product of one marriage or the other. And nobody goes into marriage thinking that their marriage will not work. Everybody goes into marriage believing that it's going to be a happily ever after relationship. Unfortunately, unexpected, challenging behaviors now makes it difficult to cope with. So today we're going to be examining these behaviors really closely, and then we begin to understand how small daily habits shape the health and happiness of our relationships. So some of these behaviors are poor communication, lack of appreciation of your spouse, unresolved conflicts, control and lack of respect, and sometimes you can call it power struggle, emotional neglect and invisible distance, unrealistic expectations, the disappointments that people normally face, external pressures and unforeseen forces, behaviors that block reconciliation. That is where we will be focusing our attention on today. Some of these behaviors are narcissistic behavior traits, the perfectionism, the avoidance, the defensive people. So I've got my friend here, Gloria, which we will be delving into the narcissistic behavior traits in depth for today. And we'll see how this pattern of behavior make the relationship to start tearing apart day by day. And before we know it, we are no longer friends. We are now like enemies living in the house together, or we're just next door neighbors.
Right. Co-tenants.
Yeah, co-tenants. But remember, at the end of the day, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers, the children suffers.
Okay, talking about narcissistic tendency or behavior traits, someone that is narcissistic actually have a sense of entitlement. They have this overinflated belief about who they are. And one of the main features or characters you will notice is they want to be admired, they want to be praised, they want to be the center of attention every time. And when they're not getting that attention, it becomes a problem for them. And living with such a person can actually be very draining and has a huge impact on the partners or people in the relationship, as well as the children, which is why it's such an important thing to talk about today.
So as we delve into narcissism, I want us to remember that nobody wakes up one day and say, I'm going to hurt my partner, I'm going to make somebody's life difficult. Narcissists, by reason of the way they are, they see everybody in the world as a mirror. And that if that mirror reflects what they want, they love it. They will accept you, they will love you, they will look after you. But if that mirror reflects what they do not want, then that mirror has to be broken. And how they break it, they don't care. So, Gloria, I want you to elaborate based on your experience as a mental health practitioner. What's the difference between narcissistic personality disorder and narcissistic behavior, or selfish behavior, if we can put it that way?
Okay. So the major difference between selfishness and narcissism is, for selfishness, it's kind of situational. And when someone is selfish, maybe they like their own comfort and like to. So when someone is selfish, it's situational, and somebody might just want their own comfort over that of others. But the main difference between that and narcissism is that someone that is selfish is still able to show remorse. They are still able to acknowledge where they have made a mistake and also reflect on it and empathize. Whereas for narcissism, there is that very low trait of empathy. They find it very difficult to empathize with other people. They find it difficult to apologize. And for them, even with empathy, there's something called empathy cognition. They use empathy as a way of learning someone likes, interests, and behavior in order to manipulate them rather than showing genuine empathy.
Wow.
So that's the major difference.
Wow, that's quite informative. Well, it's out there and people experience it every day. So these are some of the things that people do experience it. So thank you for that explanation. So the second question is, how come people don't notice these narcissistic behaviors before entering into the relationship?
Okay, so like I've already mentioned, some narcissists will study you to learn what's your interest, and there's something called love bombing. So they'll flatter you. They will do things like tell you you're the best thing since sliced bread. How come they've not met you all this while? They'll buy you flowers, buy you chocolate, compliment you, over praise, treat you like a queen, so to speak. And that's a way for them to, it's like a strategy to gain your affection. So initially everything looks good, you're getting all the love, you are getting everything, like it's like this person knows me exactly, knows what I want. But it's because they are very skilled in learning people and using what they've learned about you to get what they want. So at that point, when they want you into their life, they will do anything necessary to make sure that it works, to build your trust. And if you're not careful, you miss out on the red flags. It's so difficult to notice at that point in time because you're just being overwhelmed and surrounded with love.
With the love and the affection. That's true.
Everything.
Yeah, some people, some wives I've had opportunity to speak to so far. Most of them happen not to have even noticed at all. Even the red flags, they tend to cover it up so neatly, like, oh, that was an accident. I promise it's not going to happen again.
It's hard to see sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes they just hide it so well. So do you think this behavior was learned, or is it just something they learn to adapt with over time, or is it something that they've seen their parents do?
Yeah, so sometimes children that are born within a certain family can learn some of this behavior. It becomes a pattern. So if you've lived with a narcissistic parent, someone with narcissistic behavior, sometimes you begin to learn some of this behavior. And most of the time it becomes more prominent as somebody is going into like from teenage to 18 years, and it peaks at early adulthood, like 25 years old, until the person kind of starts to experience life and some of these traits starts to reduce. But for some people, it can carry on throughout their life, and it becomes very pervasive and predominant trait in their life.
So basically, they don't know they have it until they're now actually into marriage, and then they
some people will not even know they have it up to like someone that is narcissistic probably will not know they are. Some of these things, it's their personality, something they do. They are quite skilled at doing it, but they not label themselves to say this is who I am, or you know. But the traits are there, the behavior pattern is there, but the person might not recognize it until they start to really reflect on themselves and maybe read up on these behaviors and try to
probably seek help when necessary.
But I don't think it's something people are really aware of, that to say that, oh, I'm a narcissist. I don't think it's something people are aware of to say that they are a narcissist. So
that brings so much clarity. Thank you for that explanation. Next question: what are the common manipulation characters used by narcissistic partners?
Okay, I think the major one that most people use on a day-to-day basis is gaslighting. It's when someone makes you feel like you're losing your mind, you doubt your own sanity, because maybe they tell you that you're imagining things. They've done something, but they tell you you're imagining it, or you got the wrong end of the stick, or something like that. So gaslighting is a major one. And then there's the other one called triangulation. It's when they start to compare you with other people. They bring in another person into that relationship to make you feel inadequate, to make you feel unsettled, using things like, oh, maybe their colleague, oh, this person is very fit, I admire how they look. And in such a way, they're creating a kind of, will I say, jealousy, or creating envy, so that you feel like you need to compete to get their attention.
That's true.
So that's another one. And there's one called hoovering. Is when those toxic behavior comes out. They're hurting you, making you feel maybe they've done really something wrong, and then the next minute they are apologizing with gifts, with apologies. They're telling you all the sweet things that you want to hear. They're trying to draw you back in, because at that point maybe they'll notice that they are pushing you too far, that their toxicity is becoming more evident. And they turn around immediately to suck you back into that relationship.
It's still all about control, isn't it?
It's a control part and manipulation, just to keep you where they want you to be.
Wow.
And then there is the silent treatment, where they withhold love, withhold communication as a way of punishment, because they already know where it hurts you. So if there's such a person that needs affection, needs love, needs communication, they withhold those things to make you feel bad, to kind of change your mind, or get you to think the way they think, or get you to do
manipulation,
what they want you to do. And then the final one is projection. It's when that person actually projects their behavior to you. So they blame you for the exact thing that they do. So, and I think that's a cover-up, really, because let's use cheating, for instance. Someone that is cheating might end up accusing you for the very thing that they
have done.
So they see you with somebody, a colleague, something just that should be normal. You know, maybe you talk to your colleague, you talk to your neighbors, they start to project that you're having an affair or you're having a relationship with that person, simply because that's who they are. And they do it so subtle in various aspects of life, not just in big issues, the small day-to-day things in the family.
Even up to the extent of money as well. Some people, when they are the one who want to control the money. Then they accuse the wife of being stingy. Of being, I get that behavior. Yes.
That's true. So it's like laying blame on somebody for something they themselves actually are doing.
So I've seen some marriages end as a result of this narcissistic behavior, when the wives realize they can't cope anymore. But then my question is, why do spouses even stay in such relationship even though they realize the harm is doing?
So the main reason, one of the reasons is, initially, when that partner is all loving and kind and ticking all the boxes in the early part of the relationship, you see that the woman, no matter how much toxicity she's getting and trauma she gets later on in that relationship, some people always have hope that the man will change. That's the one mistake. Hope. Always thinking, maybe if I do better, if we stay long enough, if I change my way, I can get back the man that I used to know, or the woman that I used to know. So they always have that love part of their relationship to refer back to and hold on to it, hoping for a change. And then there's another thing called trauma bonding. It's a form of an addiction. People can bond even under trauma, under stressful situation. You see a man, a woman being abused in a relationship, and they're still holding on tight to that person, because for some reason, there is that trauma bonding as well, that kind of period when they have good relationship, because for most relationships they have a very toxic, lengthy period of time. Then there'll be a time maybe they make up, the man apologizes, the woman apologizes, the attention comes back, only for a very short period. But it kind of becomes a cycle where that person always hoping. And it intensifies. Another thing to know is those periods. That's why when people quarrel and make up, the love there feels more intense.
Feels real again.
Feels more intense than before. People make up. I don't know if you want to talk about sex here, or love making. We call it make-up sex. It's even more pronounced, more enjoyable, more intense. And I'm just using that as an example to link to how making up in a toxic relationship can feel more rewarding, that the person kind of forgets the harm, but then when the harm and the behavior continues, it's like something to look forward to again. So it becomes like a circle.
I see.
Then there is that aspect of a person losing themselves in that relationship already. Some narcissistic people will ensure that you are totally dependent on them. They can even tarnish your image, talk bad about you outside, make you feel like you are the person in the wrong.
The problem in the relationship.
Make you feel like you're not good enough. Isolate you from people that really cares about you. So you end up feeling like they are the only people
that can actually care
about you, that you can't do it on your own, that people will not believe you anyway. So that guilt, that self-blame, that self-doubt all contribute. And then there is that other aspect of financial and children. Sometimes you've invested so much into a relationship, you have children together, your finances are all linked together. Maybe you have a mortgage, and for some people, it's like losing an investment. It's like you've put in all this effort, you don't want to let go. It's really a big deal for most people. It takes a lot of courage to leave a relationship. especially a relationship that is as manipulative as that, where your confidence and self-worth is very low.
And you've given everything and you don't have anything for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you find yourself in such a relationship and you want to talk about it, or you want to get a bit more clarity to know the next steps to take, text clarity to 07927313174. Okay, thank you, Gloria. Can you let us know, how does this narcissistic behavior affect the partner's mental health?
Okay, long-term exposure to such traits as that behavior will have a profound effect on the victim. And like I've already mentioned, you're looking at self-worth, very low self-worth, lack of confidence in self. Even some people will describe it as not even recognizing themselves anymore, not knowing who they are again. And it can create a series of anxiety where someone feels like they have to walk on eggshell around a person. They can't even discuss important topic that matters to them because they don't know how the other person will react.
Exactly.
So this can have a massive impact on someone where they're overthinking, overanalyzing everything, constantly worrying, anxiety, and sometimes even panic.
Wow. Right. And what impact does this have on growing children in that kind of family? Or what impact does growing up in that kind of family have on you as a person or on children?
So for most children, growing up in that environment, it has a lot of impact, which mostly is like an attachment issue. They find it difficult to have relationships. So it's either they are really clingy or they are withdrawing, finding it difficult to commit. And there's another aspect of emotional dysregulation, finding it difficult to manage their emotions and stuff like that. Then there's something called a golden child. A golden child in such a relationship or such an environment will want to overplease, overachieve, because they think that by doing that they will gain the attention and love from a narcissistic parent. Yeah. And then there is another one that is described as the scapegoat. So this one gets blamed for everything, and you can imagine being a child in such an environment. So for the scapegoat child, she gets blamed for everything, and this can lead to chronic guilt and low self-esteem as well. And there's the lost child. The lost child kind of withdraws himself, try not to get involved in anything, try not to be seen. So for the lost child, they try to withdraw from conflict, try not to be seen, and this can have huge impact in their social life as well, growing up.
Right. So at this point, I want to introduce the book coming up. It discusses all this topic in a story format. It's a non-fiction story, which is quite enjoyable to the reader, but it brings out all these true life experiences. It's called The Admiration Trap. Watch out for it.
That's very nice. I look forward to reading it.
Okay, thank you. So moving on from The Admiration Trap, watch out for it. It's going to be out soon. So these narcissistic behaviors, can they also happen with people who have strong religious values as well?
Definitely, and I'll use a Christian religion as an example here. It's not everybody that is religious that is a Christian, really.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that have this tendency, this personality, and you will see them obviously publicly. They are seen as a moral standard to look up to. They are really nice and friendly outside to other people, but internally they are very mean to the people they are really supposed to love or the people that love them. But externally they please other people and they make themselves very likable, charismatic, charismatic. They make themselves very likable and charismatic. So using the Bible, for instance, some of these people, they will talk to you about forgiveness. They'll talk to you maybe as a wife about submission. And to them, that's a valid explanation to get away with their behavior. They expect you to submit as a partner and just take on anything that they dish out on you. They don't like being challenged. So they use that word submissive. They quote the Bible. You need to submit. Don't challenge me. Ignore whatever I'm doing. It's none of your business. I'm the head of the family. Those are ways they use to cover and deflate from their behavior. And some of them will also say you need to forgive. Forgiveness is another one.
Yeah,
so no matter how bad they've treated you in that relationship, or they even plan to treat you, they expect that you always forgive because you're a Christian. The Bible preaches forgiveness, and for them that's okay. And some also would take advantage of the fact that as Christians, or some Christian values does not support divorce. And sometimes they feel like, oh, you are trapped. You're not going anywhere.
So where do you go now?
Where do you go? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you see that kind of thing happening. People quote the Bible to use it to support.
It's just like using their own faith to now cover up their behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, and using the Bible in this instance,
inappropriately,
bringing out those verses of the Bible that covers them up.
Oh yes.
To have their own way.
To perpetuate their behavior.
Yeah,
because
it's all about manipulation, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, all hope is not lost. There is hope. If you find yourself in this relationship, there is definitely hope. There's recovery. And the next few questions is going to be addressing what you can do and how you can recover even while in this relationship. So from your experience as a mental health practitioner, so what are the healthy boundaries that someone can keep having found themselves in this relationship?
So the main thing is recognizing narcissistic behavior and accepting them for who they are and what they are, and try not to expect too much from them, because expecting too much is like you're trying to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So don't get overly involved. Don't try to justify yourself. Don't try to explain or appeal. As much as possible, it's good to set boundaries from the start. So if you know the things that you can't tolerate in that relationship, stick to it. Communicate it, but stick to it as well consistently. So if someone is raising their voice on you, and you say, if you raise your voice, I'm going to disengage from this conversation, or I'm going to walk away. You keep doing that on a regular basis. Another important thing is narcissists, they thrive on those drama. So try not to feed into their emotions. Those unnecessary arguments they'll come up with, try to disengage as much as possible. Don't try to prove yourself right, because you'll never get it right with them. So there's something called gray rock. Try to be emotionally distant as much as possible. Don't feed into any form of argument, or maybe yearning or craving for things they can't offer you long time. So disengaging, giving as little information as possible, and avoiding them basically. So even though unfortunately I don't know if this is a solution, but it's a form of self-preservation. So instead of getting into conflict with somebody, if you can avoid them as much as possible, do that for your own sanity. Give as little information as possible. If you have to live together because of some reason, children or whatever, you can still do that and communicate the basic things that you need for that family to function. But set those boundaries for yourself and take time to invest in things that you love doing, hobbies, self-care, and things like that.
Yes, that's exactly the situation. Mind you, it's not going to come easy because you've been feeding into this behavior before you now realize it. So they will fight, they will manipulate, but like Gloria said, don't give in to it. Put the boundaries in place. If you have to go for a walk, for fresh air, do that. And by all means, avoid any form of drama, especially in front of the children. Remember, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. So we've come to the close end, but before we finally address the last question, I just want to reiterate here that I have come across and I have seen marriages being dissolved as a result of this behavior. The woman or maybe the man feel they cannot cope any longer and they have to walk out of the marriage. Remember, we're not here to judge anyone. And if you do see somebody after 20 years of marriage, 25 years of marriage, they're walking out of their marriage, don't blame them. You don't know what mental health issues they have gone through before they decided to call it a quit. All hope is not lost. To go to the last question. So what does healing look like for somebody who feel like they can't cope anymore with this behavior? They've either left or they are on the verge of leaving and they really need to recover, regain their mental health and have a life, basically.
Okay. So the fundamental thing is recognizing, I think I've mentioned it before, recognizing this behavior for what it is and stop taking the blame on yourself. Stop feeling guilty, because sometimes there's nothing much you can do. You've put in all the best you can to make sure that it works, and for some reason it's not working, or this pattern is so ingrained that it's difficult to obviously change a person. You've tried. So the most important thing is that letting go of that guilt. It's not your fault. Don't take the blame on yourself. It's not your fault that the marriage or the relationship is dissolving. It's not your fault that it's not working. You are only doing what's best for you and your mental health. Secondly, is to seek support. Sometimes people will need professional support, like talking to a therapist who can help you unravel all these emotions and traumas that you've gone through and start to heal properly. And another thing is to reconnect. Social network, good social network, people, families, people that are there for you. Maybe sometimes you've become estranged from your families because of that marriage or that relationship. But it's being honest and open about what you've gone through to people that really care about you. And most of the time they will support you. So it's finding the right support, getting the right support network for you. Go into community, find maybe hobbies, things that you normally love doing, or maybe find new hobbies. Join a club, maybe reading
make
club,
make
new friends, invest in your body, your mind, read. There are some self-care tips that we can develop. Self-care habits that we can develop and implement in our life on a day-to-day basis, which will not just improve the situation we are coming out from, but also improve our mental and physical well-being generally.
So we've come to a conclusion in this podcast, and I just want to let you know that you're not alone. If you find yourself in this relationship, it's not a strange thing happening to you. It's not your fault, like Gloria mentioned. It's just things that, unfortunately, we have been exposed to. Even if you realize that, wait, it's like, I have these behaviors. I'm the one who is actually doing this to my spouse. All hope is not lost. You don't have to continue that behavior. You can also seek for help. There are lots of therapists out there that you can seek for help from them. And also, if you just want to have a chat to know what next to do, you can always text Clarity to the number 07927313174. And also, you can just look for help where possible. And remember, my book will be coming out. It's called The Admiration Trap. You need to read it. It's a non-fiction story, but it just brings out and highlights how this behavior appear in day-to-day activities. It's a game changer. is an eye-opener.
Oh, that's really lovely. Anyway, thank you for staying with us throughout this podcast, and I hope that you've gotten something meaningful from it. And maybe if you need more support, like Bumi has said, reach out to the number that is displayed on the screen. And thank you. It's really a good topic to discuss, and I'm happy that we had the time today to do that. So thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming up on this podcast. So, watch out. Bye.